Commander Vexahal stood on the bridge of the Void Whisper, watching the stars stretch past the view screen. His blue-scaled fingers drummed against the control panel as he reviewed their mission orders. The Zephyrian Confederation had sent them to scout the Outer Rim territories, looking for new species to contact or new resources to claim. "Commander," called out Sensor Officer Krindos from her station. "I'm picking up something strange." Vexhal turned his large eyes toward her.
"What kind of strange?"
"Unknown energy signature." "It's big, sir. Really big." Krindos tapped her controls, bringing up a holographic display. "It's at the edge of what the locals call Terran space." "Terrans?" Vexhal moved closer to examine the readings. "Never heard of them. Probably another primitive species that just learned to leave their home planet." The Void Whisper was the most advanced ship in the Zephyrian fleet. Its sensors could detect a single molecule from 3 star systems away. Its weapons could crack a moon in half. Its crew was trained to handle any situation the galaxy could throw at them. Vexhal felt confident as he gave his orders. "Take us closer, but keep our distance. We'll observe first, then decide if they're worth talking to." The ship moved silently through space, its stealth systems hiding it from any primitive detection methods. As they approached the source of the energy signature, the readings grew stronger and more confusing. "Sir," Krindos said, her voice worried, "these numbers don't make sense." "Show me." The main screen lit up with data streams. Vexahal stared at the information, then stared again. According to their sensors, something ahead of them was producing more energy than a small star. But it wasn't a star. It was moving in a straight line at speeds that should have been impossible for any artificial object. "Could our sensors be broken?" asked Navigation Officer Zulmar. "Run a full diagnostic," Vexhal ordered. They waited while the ship's computers checked every system twice. The results came back clean. Their sensors were working perfectly. "Take us closer. I want to see what we're dealing with." As they moved forward, the object came into visual range. What they saw made the entire bridge crew fall silent. It was a ship, but not like any ship they had ever seen or imagined. The vessel stretched for almost 20 kilometers from end to end. Its hull was dark gray, but it seemed to shimmer and move like living skin. Strange growths covered its surface, looking like a mix of metal and organic tissue. Weapons that defied known physics jutted out from its sides, and the energy pouring from its engines was so intense that their screens had to filter the readings just to display them. "By the Ancient Ones," whispered Krindos. "What is that thing?" Vexhal couldn't answer. In all his years of service in all the Confederation's records, they had never encountered anything like this. The ship looked like it had been grown rather than built. Its design made no sense according to any engineering principles he knew. "Start recording everything," he ordered. "I want detailed scans of every system on that ship." The sensors went to work, probing the massive vessel with invisible beams of energy. What they found made the mystery even deeper. "Commander," reported Chief Science Officer Mordek, "the hull material is reading as both metal and organic tissue." "That's impossible. And these energy signatures? They're showing power levels that would require a star-sized reactor." "How big is their reactor?" "That's just it, sir. According to our scans, it's only about 50 meters wide. But it's producing energy like it's compressing and controlling the nuclear fires of a sun." Vexhal felt a chill run down his spine. The Zephyrians considered themselves the most advanced species in the galaxy. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of most other races. But this human ship was displaying capabilities that seemed to break the laws of physics. "What about their weapons?" Mordek's scaled face turned pale. "Sir, I'm detecting weapon systems that could destroy our entire fleet with a single shot. But the targeting systems, they're unlike anything in our databases. They seem to be connected to some kind of biological network." "Biological network?" "Yes, sir. Like living brain tissue, but integrated with quantum computers. It's as if the ship itself is thinking." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Every new piece of information made the human vessel seem more impossible and more dangerous. "What about the crew?" Vexhal asked. "Scanning now," Krindos replied. She worked her controls for several minutes, then looked up with confusion. "Sir, I'm reading approximately 300 life forms aboard that ship. But their biology is strange." "Strange how?" "They appear to be the species we know as humans. But they've been modified. Enhanced. Their bone density is 3 times normal. They have additional organs I can't identify, and they all have some kind of technology implanted in their brains." Vexhal stared at the massive ship on his screen. Everything about it challenged what he thought he knew about technology and biology. The humans had somehow created a vessel that was part machine, part living creature. They had modified their own bodies to work with their technology, and they were producing energy levels that should have been impossible. "Sir," Mordek said quietly, "I'm also detecting something else. This ship isn't military." "What do you mean?" "According to the energy patterns and equipment configuration, this appears to be a science vessel. A research ship." The silence on the bridge was complete. If this impossible, physics-defying monster was just a research ship, what did their actual warships look like? "Continue monitoring," Vexhal ordered, "but keep our distance. I want to know everything about these humans before we make contact." As the Void Whisper maintained its hidden position, the crew watched the human ship continue on its path. It moved with smooth confidence, like a predator that feared nothing in the dark between the stars. Vexhal began to understand that they had discovered something that would change everything the Confederation thought they knew about the galaxy. These humans weren't just another primitive species stumbling into space. They were something entirely different, something that made their own advanced technology look like children's toys. But the most terrifying thought was still to come. If this was what humans considered a peaceful research vessel, what horrors awaited in their actual military fleet? The Void Whisper settled into a monitoring pattern, its crew beginning the long process of trying to understand exactly what they had found. None of them yet realized that their discovery would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization. In the depths of space, the human ship continued its journey, unaware that it was being watched. Inside its living hull, the crew went about their daily routines, casually working with technology that would drive alien scientists mad with envy and fear. The first contact between the Zephyrian Confederation and humanity was about to begin. But neither species yet understood what that would mean for the future of the galaxy. 3 days passed as the Void Whisper continued its secret observation of the human vessel. Each hour brought new discoveries that made Commander Vexhal question everything he thought he knew about technology. "Commander," Chief Science Officer Mordek called out, his voice tight with disbelief. "You need to see this." Vexhal approached the science station where Mordek had been running deep scans of the human ship's reactor. The holographic display showed a cross-section of the vessel's power core, but what Vexhal saw made no sense. "This can't be right," Vexhal said, staring at the image. "I've checked our instruments 17 times, sir. The readings are accurate." Mordek pointed to the display with a shaking finger. "Their reactor isn't just controlling nuclear fusion. It's using organic neural networks to manage the process." The image showed a reactor core that looked like a hybrid between a star and a brain. Metallic structures pulsed with veins of organic tissue. Neural pathways made of living cells connected to quantum computers. The entire system breathed and moved like something alive. "Are you saying their power core is partly biological?" "Not partly, sir. It's fully integrated. The biological components aren't just monitoring the fusion process, they're actively controlling it at the molecular level. The neural tissue is making millions of calculations per second, adjusting plasma flows and magnetic fields with precision our best computers couldn't match." Vexhal felt sick. The Zephyrians had always prided themselves on keeping technology and biology separate. The idea of growing machines from living tissue was considered primitive and disgusting. But here were the humans not just mixing the two, but creating something far beyond what either could accomplish alone. "What about their weapons?" Vexhal asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Sensor Officer Krindos looked up from her station. "Sir, we've identified their main weapon systems. The power levels are frightening." The main screen changed to show the human ship's weapon arrays. What they saw defied every principle of warfare the Zephyrians knew. "These aren't just guns or energy beams," Krindos explained. "They're quantum-linked projectile systems. The targeting is controlled by human consciousness itself." "What does that mean?" "It means a human gunner can lock onto a target and hit it instantly, no matter how far away it is. The quantum link connects their brain directly to the weapon. They don't aim in the normal sense. They just think about hitting something and it happens." Vexhal gripped the edge of the console. Instant targeting across any distance was impossible according to known physics. Yet here were the humans, casually using weapons that could hit targets in other star systems without delay. "How many of these weapons does the ship have?" "Over 200, sir. And that's just what we can detect from the outside. Navigation Officer Zulmar spoke up from his station. Commander, we're also detecting something else. The ship's hull is repairing itself. Repairing itself? Yes, sir. We can see microscopic damage from space dust and cosmic radiation. But as we watch, the damage disappears. The hull is healing like living skin. Mordek ran new scans and nodded grimly. The hull material is a hybrid of human stem cells and programmable matter. When damage occurs, the biological components regrow, while the artificial components reshape themselves. It's not just self-repair. It's evolution in real time. The bridge crew stared at the screen in horrified fascination. They were watching a ship that could heal itself, powered by a living brain armed with weapons that ignored the basic laws of physics. Sir, Krindos said quietly, I'm picking up communications from inside the ship. Can you understand them? Our translation systems are working on it. The language seems to be called English. Very straightforward compared to most alien languages we've encountered. Within an hour, the computers had cracked the basic structure of human language. What they heard in the intercepted communications made their situation even more terrifying. Listen to this, Krindos said, playing back a conversation between human crew members. Two human voices came through the speakers. Casual and relaxed. Hey Sarah, did you finish retrofitting the quantum tap on Reactor 3? Yeah, just got it online. We're pulling energy directly from vacuum fluctuations now. Should boost our power output by about 30%. Cool. Any word on when we're supposed to pick up that black hole for the new drive system? Next week, I think. Engineering wants to test their new containment field first. The alien crew sat in stunned silence. The humans were talking about harvesting black holes like they were discussing picking up groceries. There's more, Krindos said, playing another recording. Mike, the ship's AI is getting creative again. What's it doing now? It redesigned our weapon targeting system while we were sleeping. Says it can improve accuracy by another 15% if we let it modify our brain implants. Sounds good to me. Tell it to go ahead. Already did. The modifications should finish uploading by tomorrow. Vexahal felt dizzy. The humans were casually allowing their ship's artificial intelligence to modify their own brains, and they seemed happy about it. Play another one, he ordered, though he dreaded what he might hear. Hey, Captain Chen wants to know if we're still on schedule for the reproduction project. Which one? Teaching the ship to clone itself or the biological integration upgrade? The cloning. The bio-integration is next month. Yeah, we're on track. The ship should be ready to split and create a copy of itself by next Tuesday. The recording ended. The bridge of the void whisper was completely silent. They're teaching their ship to reproduce, Mordek whispered. And to integrate more biological components into itself, added Krindos. Vexhall realized they weren't just observing advanced technology. They were watching evolution in action. The humans had created ships that could think, heal, reproduce, and grow stronger over time. Each vessel was becoming a unique life form, guided by human consciousness but capable of independent thought and action. Sir, Zulmar said from the navigation station, I've been analyzing their course and speed. According to our calculations, this ship has traveled over 40,000 light-years in the past month. That's impossible. Nothing can move that fast through normal space. That's what I thought too, but I think they're not using normal space. They seem to be creating temporary holes in reality itself, then stepping through them. Mordek ran quick calculations. If they can travel 40,000 light-years in a month, they could cross the entire galaxy in less than a year. Our fastest ships would take centuries to make the same journey. The full implications began to sink in. The humans didn't just have advanced technology. They had mastered space and time itself. They had created living ships that could heal, think, and reproduce. They had weapons that could hit any target instantly across any distance. And they spoke about these impossible achievements like they were normal everyday activities. Commander, Krindos said, her voice barely a whisper. I'm detecting more ships. More human ships? Yes, sir. Our long-range sensors are picking up 17 more vessels with similar energy signatures. They're spread across this entire sector of space. Vexhal closed his eyes. If there were 18 of these impossible ships in just one small area of space, how many did the humans have in total? Hundreds, thousands. And sir, Krindos continued, according to their classifications, these are all science vessels. Research ships, not military. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place. Everything they had observed, all the reality-defying technology and casual impossibilities, belonged to human scientists. Not soldiers, not warriors, just researchers going about their normal work. If this was what human scientists could do, what were their actual military forces capable of? Vexhal gave the order to continue monitoring, but his confidence was gone. They had discovered something that made the entire Zephyrian Confederation look like children playing with sticks and stones, and the humans had no idea they were being watched. Commander Vexhal ordered his crew to focus their scans on the humans themselves. If their technology was impossible to understand, maybe studying the beings who created it would provide answers. What they discovered was even more disturbing than the ships. "Commander," reported Chief Medical Officer Wendell from her station, "I've completed detailed biological scans of the human crew. The results are unprecedented." Vexhal approached her console, dreading what he might learn. "Show me." The holographic display showed the anatomy of a typical human crew member. At first glance, they looked similar to the humans in the Confederation's databases. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But as Wendell highlighted the differences, Vexhal realized these weren't quite the same species anymore. "Their bone density is 3 times normal human levels," Wendell explained. "Their skeletal structure has been reinforced with some kind of metallic lattice. They could survive impacts that would crush our strongest warriors." The display showed a human skeleton that gleamed with internal metal supports. The bones themselves had been altered at the molecular level, making them stronger than most armor materials. "What about their organs?" "That's where it gets really strange, sir. They have backup organs. Multiple hearts, duplicate kidneys, redundant nervous systems. If one organ fails, another one takes over automatically." Vexhal stared at the scan showing a human torso packed with extra organs that had no equivalent in any known species. "Are these artificial implants?" "No, sir. They're grown from the individual's own DNA but modified. Each human has a unique set of backup systems tailored to their specific job on the ship." The medical scans revealed humans who could survive in hard vacuum for hours, who could function normally even with massive physical damage, who had been modified to interface directly with their ship's systems. "And these modifications are standard?" Vexhal asked. "According to their medical records, yes. Every human in their military receives these enhancements as basic equipment, like issuing uniforms or weapons." Sensor Officer Krindos looked up from her station. "Commander, I'm intercepting more communications. The humans are discussing their daily routines." "Let's hear it." The speakers crackled with human voices, casual and relaxed as they went about their work. "Johnson, did you finish syncing with the navigation system?" "Yeah, just disconnected. The ship learned my flying preferences and integrated them into the autopilot. Should make our next jump about 12% more efficient." "Cool. I'm scheduled to link with the weapons array this afternoon. The ship wants to update its targeting algorithms based on my reflexes." Vexhal felt a chill. The humans weren't just operating their ship. They were merging with it, sharing their thoughts and experiences with the artificial intelligence that controlled it. Another conversation came through the speakers. "Hey, Martinez, how did your enhancement surgery go?" "Great. They added a new processing node to my brainstem. I can now calculate hyperspace coordinates in my head without using a computer." "Nice. I'm getting my reaction time upgrades next week. Should cut my response time down to about 3 milliseconds. 3 milliseconds? That's faster than most electronic systems." "Yeah, but the ship's getting impatient with how slow we are. It thinks in nanoseconds." The alien crew listened in growing horror as the humans casually discussed modifying their own brains to keep up with their technology. "There's more," Krindos said, playing another recording. "Attention all crew, this is Captain Chen. Medical reports that our latest biological integration is ahead of schedule. The ship's immune system has successfully bonded with our own. We now share a collective resistance to diseases, toxins, and radiation." "That's great news, Captain. Does this mean we're ready for the Deep Void mission?" "Almost. Engineering wants to complete the neural link upgrade first. Once we can share memories and experiences directly with the ship, we'll be ready to explore the galaxy's edge." Vexhal gripped the console so hard his claws left marks in the metal. The humans weren't just using their technology, they were becoming one with it, creating a hybrid species that was part biological, part artificial, and entirely beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. "Commander," Medical Officer Wendell said quietly, "I'm also detecting something else in their biology. Their DNA has been modified to adapt and evolve in real time. What do you mean? If they encounter a new environment or threat, their genetic code can rewrite itself to develop resistance or advantages. They're not just enhanced humans. They're a continuously evolving species. More communications came through the speakers, each one more disturbing than the last. Research Team Alpha, this is the bridge. We're approaching the gravity well of that neutron star. Please prepare for environmental adaptation. Copy that, bridge. Initiating biological modifications now. Estimated time to radiation resistance, 47 minutes. Acknowledged. Science Team Beta, are you ready for the high-gravity exploration? Yes, Captain. We've already increased our bone density and muscle mass. We should be able to function normally in 15 times Earth gravity. The humans were talking about modifying their own bodies like changing clothes. Need radiation resistance? Just grow it. Need to survive crushing gravity? Simple biological adjustment. This can't be real, whispered Navigation Officer Zulmar. No species can adapt that quickly. Play the next recording, Vexhal ordered, though his hands were shaking. Engineering to bridge. The ship wants to know if it can start the next phase of biological integration. What's it asking for now? It wants to grow additional crew members from scratch. Says it can improve on our current design. Improve how? Better radiation resistance, improved neural processing, enhanced physical capabilities. It thinks it can create humans who are perfectly adapted for deep space exploration. Sounds good. Tell it to go ahead and grow a test batch. We'll need the extra crew for the next mission anyway. The recording ended. The bridge of the Void Whisper fell into stunned silence. They're creating new humans, Mordek said in a voice barely above a whisper. Their ship is growing people. Improved people, added Wendell. Each generation better than the last. Vexhal realized they weren't just watching an advanced species. They were observing evolution itself, guided by intelligence and technology beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. The humans were becoming something new with each passing day, constantly improving and adapting. Sir, Krindo said, I'm also picking up educational broadcasts from the ship. They seem to be teaching their children. Play it. A young human voice came through the speakers, bright and curious. Teacher, why do some humans only have 2 hearts? Those are the older models, Jenny, before we learned how to grow better ones. Will I get more hearts when I grow up? You'll get whatever organs you need for your job. If you become a pilot, you'll get better reflexes and faster processing. If you become an engineer, you'll get enhanced spatial reasoning and improved fine motor control. What if I want to explore new planets? Then you'll get adaptive genetics like your parents. You'll be able to change your biology to survive anywhere. The child spoke as if biological modification was as normal as choosing what clothes to wear. This was their reality. A species that could become whatever they needed to be, whenever they needed to be it. Vexhal understood now why the human ship seemed so impossible. It wasn't just advanced technology. It was the product of a species that refused to accept limitations, that saw every obstacle as a problem to be solved through innovation and adaptation. The humans had transcended the normal boundaries between biology and technology, between individual and machine, between what was and what could be. And according to their communications, this was just the beginning. Commander Vexhal made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He ordered his crew to hack into the human ship's databanks to learn about their history. He thought understanding their past might explain their impossible present. He was wrong. Their history was worse than anything he could have imagined. Commander, Chief Communications Officer Tekalon reported from his station, I've broken through their basic security systems. Their data storage methods are surprisingly simple. Can you access their historical records? Yes, sir. They seem to keep detailed records of everything. I'm downloading their complete historical database now. Vexhal waited as the alien computers translated and organized millions of human documents. When the process finished, Teklon looked up with confusion. Sir, there's something wrong with their records. Why and what kind of wrong? According to these files, the humans have only existed as a spacefaring species for about 200 years. But their technology suggests thousands of years of development. Maybe they found abandoned technology from another species? No, sir. The records clearly show they developed everything themselves, but the timeline doesn't make sense. They went from basic combustion engines to reality-manipulating starships in less than 3 centuries. Vexhal frowned. Most species took thousands of years to develop interstellar travel. The Zephyrians had needed 5,000 years just to master faster-than-light communication. Show me their early history. The main screen lit up with human historical records. What Vexhal saw made his blood run cold. The humans hadn't started with peace and cooperation like most civilized species. They had started with war. Constant, brutal, never-ending war. According to these records, Teclon explained, humans spent most of their early history fighting each other. Not occasional conflicts, sir. Continuous warfare for thousands of years. The record showed a species that treated violence as a normal part of life. They had fought wars over territory, resources, ideas, and sometimes just because they were bored. They had developed increasingly deadly weapons, each generation more destructive than the last. Look at this, Teclon said, highlighting a section of text. They invented nuclear weapons and immediately used them on their own species. Then they built enough to destroy their entire planet several times over. That's insane. Why would they build weapons that could kill everyone? Because they wanted to make sure their enemies knew they were serious about fighting. The records showed humans who had turned their own planet into an armed camp. They had built weapons that could crack continents, poisons that could kill entire ecosystems, and bombs that could burn the atmosphere itself. But, sir, this is where it gets really disturbing. They didn't destroy themselves. They used these weapons as a starting point. Starting point for what? Bigger weapons. The historical files revealed a species that had looked at planet-killing bombs and decided they weren't impressive enough. They had moved on to star killers, then galaxy crackers, then weapons that could damage reality itself. Show me their wars, Vexhal ordered. Though he dreaded the answer, the screen filled with records of human conflicts. The 100 Years' War, the 30 Years' War, World War I and II, the Resource Wars, the Genetic Wars, the AI Wars. The list went on and on. They fought a war that lasted 100 years? Vexhal asked in disbelief. That was a short one, sir. Look at this. Teclon pulled up another record. The Crusades lasted over 200 years. The Cold War lasted almost 50. And according to these files, they considered the Cold War a period of peace because they only fought through other people. The records showed a species that measured time not in years of peace, but in years of war. They had developed their entire civilization around the concept of conflict. What about their recent history? Since they reached space? That's the most disturbing part, sir. According to their records, they've had 3 galactic wars in the past 10 years. Vexhal felt sick. 3 galactic wars? Yes, sir. But here's what's really frightening. They list these as minor conflicts, barely worth mentioning in their official histories. The screen showed human military records from their space age. They had fought wars across multiple star systems, using weapons that could sterilize entire worlds. They had battled alien species, rogue AI systems, and something called dark matter entities that Vexhal didn't even want to understand. And they call this peaceful? He asked. According to their cultural analysis files, yes. They consider themselves to be in a golden age of peace and cooperation, because they haven't had any major extinction-level conflicts recently. Recently meaning what? The past decade, sir. Vexhal stared at the records in horror. The humans considered 10 years without an extinction-level war to be a remarkable period of peace. What about natural disasters? He asked. How did they handle environmental challenges? Teclon pulled up more files. Sir, their planet seems to have tried to kill them on a regular basis. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, magnetic pole reversals. Events that would have wiped out most species. And they survived all of them. Not just survived, sir. They used them as learning experiences. The records showed humans who had treated planet-wide disasters as minor inconveniences. They had survived ice ages by inventing better technology. They had deflected asteroids by turning them into mining operations. They had controlled supervolcanoes by using them as power sources. Look at this entry, Teclon said, highlighting a particularly disturbing passage. After the last ice age, they wrote, "That was fun. Let's see if we can trigger another one to test our new environmental control systems." They wanted to cause an ice age? For scientific purposes, sir. They considered planetary-scale disasters to be interesting experiments. The historical records painted a picture of a species that had never learned to accept limitations. Every obstacle became a challenge to overcome. Every disaster became an opportunity to grow stronger. Every enemy became a chance to develop better weapons, sir. Teclon said quietly. I found something else. Their disaster response protocols. What about them? According to these files, humans have detailed plans for surviving the destruction of their home planet. The death of their sun, the heat death of the universe, and something called reality collapse. Reality collapse? They're not sure if it's possible, but they want to be ready just in case the fundamental laws of physics stop working. Vex. Hal realized they were looking at a species that had spent their entire existence preparing for the worst possible outcomes. They had built their civilization around the assumption that everything would eventually try to kill them, and they had decided to become unkillable in response. What about their current military capabilities? Teclon hesitated. Sir, according to these records, the research vessel we've been observing is considered lightly armed by human standards. Lightly armed? Yes, sir. It's equipped for scientific missions in hostile territory. Their actual warships are significantly more dangerous. How much more dangerous? According to this technical manual, their main battle cruisers can destroy solar systems as a side effect of their normal operations. The bridge fell silent. They had been terrified of a human science ship. Their actual military vessels were powerful enough to accidentally destroy entire star systems. And, sir, Teclon added, his voice barely a whisper, according to their fleet records, they have over 10,000 active warships. Vexhal closed his eyes. The humans hadn't just mastered technology and biology. They had weaponized their own evolution, turning millions of years of survival instincts into a civilization-building force. They were a species that had looked at an impossible universe and decided to become more impossible than anything it could throw at them, and they were spreading across the galaxy, one system at a time. Commander Vexhal was reviewing the horrifying human historical records when his worst nightmare came true. Sensor Officer Krindos looked up from her station with panic in her large eyes. Commander, she whispered, they found us. What do you mean, found us? The human ship just changed course. It's heading directly toward our position. Vexhal felt his heart stop. The Void Whisper was running the most advanced stealth systems in the Confederation fleet. They should have been completely invisible to any detection method known to galactic science. How is that possible? I don't know, sir. But they're accelerating toward us at impossible speeds. And, sir, she paused, her voice shaking. They're broadcasting a message. Directed at us, and what kind of message? It's in perfect Zephyrian. Not translated. Perfect grammatical structure, cultural nuances, even our formal diplomatic protocols. Vexhal's blood turned to ice. The humans not only knew they were there, but they had somehow learned their entire language and culture while being observed. Put the message through, he ordered. The speakers crackled, and then a warm, friendly human voice filled the bridge. A female voice speaking flawless Zephyrian with the proper inflections of respectful greeting. Greetings to the crew of the vessel, Void Whisper of the Zephyrian Confederation. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Indomitable. We hope you have enjoyed observing our operations over the past week. The alien crew sat in stunned silence. The human captain continued speaking as if she was greeting old friends. We've been aware of your presence since you first entered this system, and we want you to know how impressed we are with your stealth technology. It's absolutely adorable how you've managed to bend light around your ship. Our sensors had to work really hard to track you. Vexhal felt dizzy. The humans had been watching them watch the humans, and they thought their advanced stealth technology was adorable. We'd like to invite you aboard for a cultural exchange. We have some medical supplies we think your crew might need, and our scientists are very excited to meet a new species. Please don't be afraid. We know our ship looks scary, but we're very friendly. The message ended. The bridge of the Void Whisper remained silent for several minutes. They want us to come aboard? Chief Science Officer Mordek asked in disbelief. They knew we were here the entire time, whispered Krindos. They were letting us spy on them. Navigation Officer Zulmar looked up from his instruments. Sir, the human ship has stopped moving. They're maintaining position 1 kilometer away and, sir, they're extending some kind of docking tube toward us. On the main screen, they could see the massive human vessel. What had seemed like terrifying alien technology now looked different somehow. The organic curves of the hull seemed welcoming rather than threatening. The energy emanations felt warm instead of dangerous. Commander, Communications Officer Teclon reported, they're sending another message. Let's hear it. Captain Chen's voice returned, still warm and friendly. We know this must be frightening for you. Meeting a new species always is, but we want you to know that we've already learned about your people from your ship's databases, and we think the Zephyrian Confederation sounds wonderful. Your commitment to peaceful exploration and scientific advancement is exactly the kind of civilization we hope to meet out here. Vexhal blinked in surprise. The humans had broken into their databases too. But instead of being angry about being spied on, they were complimenting Zephyrian culture. We've prepared translation systems for 47 different Zephyrian dialects, replicated your preferred atmospheric conditions, and synthesized foods that should be compatible with your biology. Our medical team has also prepared treatments for 3 different health conditions they detected in your crew during our scans. Medical Officer Wendell looked up in shock. They can treat Mordek's cellular degeneration and Kryndos's neural inflammation, added Chief Medical Officer Wendell, reviewing the scan results. Conditions we don't even have cures for, the human captain continued. We know you've been studying our technology and history, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have. We understand our development might seem unusual compared to other species. Unusual, Mordek muttered. That's one way to put it. We'd especially like to share some of our recent advances in medicine and environmental restoration. Our scientists have been working on techniques that might help other species deal with the challenges of galactic exploration. Another pause. Then Captain Chen's voice returned with obvious excitement. Oh, and our ship's AI wants to meet your computers. It's very interested in Zephyrian data architecture. It promises to be gentle and not modify anything without permission. Vexhal realized the humans weren't just offering friendship. They were offering help. Advanced medical treatment, technological assistance, and genuine scientific cooperation, sir. Teclon said quietly. I'm analyzing their offer. Based on what we've seen of their capabilities, they could easily force us to do whatever they wanted. Instead, they're asking politely and offering us benefits. They could have destroyed us without us ever knowing they were there, added Kryndos. Instead, they let us observe them and learn about them. Vexahal thought about everything they had discovered. The humans were impossibly advanced, casually powerful, and had a history of violence that should have made them the galaxy's worst nightmare. But they were offering friendship, medical aid, and scientific cooperation. Sir, Mordek said, I recommend we accept their invitation. Are you insane? They're the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Exactly, sir. Which makes their offer of friendship the most valuable thing in the galaxy. If we refuse, we'll have to report back to the Confederation that we found a species that makes our best technology look like children's toys. That's going to cause panic. Vexhal considered the options. They could run back to Confederation space and report that humanity was a threat beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. That would likely lead to fear, military buildups, and eventually conflict with a species that considered galactic wars to be minor inconveniences. Or they could accept the human offer and establish peaceful contact with beings who had mastered space. Time, biology, and technology itself, Commander, Kryndo said. They're sending another message. Play it. This time. Captain Chen's voice was slightly more serious, but still friendly. We want you to know that you're the 47th new species we've made contact with this year. Each meeting has been wonderful, and we've learned so much from every civilization we've encountered. We hope the Zephyrian Confederation will consider joining our growing alliance of galactic neighbors. Vexhal's eyes widened. 47 species this year? The galaxy is a big place, Captain Chen continued, and we've found that it's much more fun to explore it together than alone. We have treaties with over 300 species now, and we're always excited to meet new friends. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. The humans weren't conquering the galaxy through force. They were making friends with everyone they met. Their impossible technology wasn't a weapon of conquest. It was a tool for building the largest peaceful alliance in galactic history. Sir, Communications Officer Teclon said, I'm reading energy signatures from 17 more human ships that just entered the system. Vexhal tensed, expecting an attack formation. Instead, the ships arranged themselves in a welcoming pattern, creating a safe corridor for the Void Whisper to approach the Indomitable. They brought an escort fleet to make sure we get to the meeting safely. Zulmar observed with amazement. Captain Chen's voice returned one final time. We know you've been studying our history, and you're probably worried about our violent past. We want you to know that we've learned from our mistakes. We spent so many years fighting each other, that we got really good at solving problems through conflict. Now we use those same skills to protect our friends and solve problems through cooperation." She paused, and when she continued, her voice was filled with genuine warmth. "The universe is a dangerous place, full of challenges that no single species can handle alone. But together, working as partners, there's nothing we can't accomplish. We'd be honored to have the Zephyrian Confederation join us in exploring the galaxy and protecting the peace we've all worked so hard to build." Vexhal looked around his bridge at his crew. They had discovered the most advanced species in galactic history, beings who could reshape reality itself, and those beings wanted to be friends. "Teclon," he ordered, "open a channel to the human ship." "Channel open, sir." "Captain Chen, this is Commander Vexhal of the Void Whisper. The Zephyrian Confederation accepts your invitation. We look forward to meeting you and learning about your alliance." "Wonderful," Captain Chen replied, her excitement obvious even through the translator. "Welcome to the galactic community, Commander. This is going to be the start of something amazing." As the Void Whisper moved toward the human ship, Vexhal realized that everything was about to change, not just for his crew, not just for the Confederation, but for the entire galaxy. The humans had found a way to turn their history of conflict into a talent for building peace. They had transformed their survival instincts into tools for helping others survive and thrive, and now they were offering to share that gift with everyone they met. The age of isolated species competing for resources was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and it was going to be led by the most impossibly powerful and genuinely friendly species the universe had ever produced.